and being honored to be the keynote speaker. Really, I'll be sharing with you about my research, sharing. It's unique kind of research that like you noticed when I complete the presentation, but also to tell you why I think it's succeeding, so that those of us in the room who are starting their research, you can use that to boost your research, okay? I have a very interesting title to it. It says wind blowing dragonflies and thundering frogs. Is it the answer to Africa's food insecurity? This actually, I've conceptualized the title of the book I'm going to write, and this is the title. So from it, you can't see IT in it, you can't see engineering in it. No one wonders what I'm up to. So I'll explain shortly. I'll go through my presentation by telling you about droughts, strangely, and then about indigenous knowledge. Then I'll discuss about the project that featured a lot about me. I call it ITIKI, and how it works. And I'll mention some of the projects that are spanning or have been spawned around this project. First, normally those of us who love nature, the sound of birds singing in the morning or the crickets making noise in our garages, or even some dragonflies, they fly as you drive your car along the road, have a message for some of us. Small-scale farmers, be it in Australia or South Africa or India or Russia, wherever you find them, they actually use these signs to determine many things about their crops. They will check a particular tree has more fruits this year, then they will actually say, I think the drought is coming. Or they will check a particular tree that has flowered outside their gate, and that gives a meaning to them. That's what indigenous knowledge is. It does have different terminologies based on what we scientists want to use it for. Some people call it technical knowledge. Some people call it local knowledge. But that's knowledge only I know because I've lived in that area longer. Someone who has lived in Free State for 20 years is smarter in the local environment than some of us who came 2 years ago or 4 years ago. But then in the case of Africa, there's another element to indigenous knowledge. They have spiritual beliefs. They say that if so-and-so killed so-and-so, then it won't rain. But at the end of the day, what I'll be explaining here is that not everything can be put into science. We can't try to prove scientifically somebody's beliefs. So in my research, we look at those that you can actually put some science in it. Because think about it. Why is it that cats and dogs behave in a particular way? Like there's a famous example when hurricanes hit some parts of Asia, especially the one that happened in Japan. Many dogs didn't die. They are left. They are left to higher ground. They kind of have senses. Insects have senses just like our equipment. So those are the things my research looks into. And how did when the dean was asking us why do research, I just thought about it. Because my whole story, my whole research is captivated by my own upbringing. In 2010, I took a picture. I grew up in a village in Kenya. I took up a picture of the sign to my primary school. This is where I was schooled. And I decided to keep it from in my archives. I didn't go into the school and take the building because then you'll be like, oh. So in other words, I grew up in a typical village in an African setup. And you know the situation where you go to school without shoes. And those things kind of stick in your mind. And then I noticed, and I used to help my mother in a small-scale farm. And I noticed many things. The insects I'm talking about, I saw them, and I could interpret them myself. There's this typical example that has not gone from my mind, and they still use it today. They tell how long the rainfall are in terms of the height the dragonfly is flying. So if it's 3 feet, it's 3 weeks. If it's 1 foot, it's 1 week. If it's less than a foot, it rains. And I tested it myself after my PhD in 2013 in October. The meteorologist people and send it to rain. They say near normal, mid something, probability, I don't know who. But the small scale farmers are given a specific date, and that night it rained. So that's how accurate the science is. But then you'll ask, then how come they're still not helping us to provide food? There are many reasons. One, the landmarks that we're using to know those terminologies have been gotten rid of by us. We've cut the trees, we've increased our population, we've constructed buildings where the trees used to be, we've drained the waters, and so on. So that science of the Olok farmers is not as accurate as it used to be. And I'm not the only one who is arguing that the ITIKI, for indigenous knowledge, has value. If you just go on the internet, you actually see, they have realized it's one of the ways of building resilience for people, because they know better than us. They live there. They have been there for years. Their grandfathers have told them things which we don't know. So it holds a lot of future for many aspects of life. But then am I claiming that scientists, meteorologists are doing research in vain? No, they're not. They have very accurate predictions. If you go to South African Weather Service this morning, you'll find predictions there. There's only one challenge. They use terminologies that farmers don't identify with. So they'll tell them in Free State, this season, we'll have above normal rainfall. So the farmer will ask, what is above normal? What is normal? What is abnormal? So they don't comprehend it. And then they put it on their websites. Believe you me, I just visited some farmers in UK, Zeren. They don't speak English. They don't go to the internet. So they don't use this information. So it's of no use to them. And finally, it's at a very cost level. Today morning, my kids were comparing the weather on their phones. One was saying it's 4 degrees, one was saying 7. But it depends. Maybe one of them is using landmark somewhere in the park. Another one is using, so it's so coarse. It's for a bigger picture. We want something about me, about my local knowledge. And that cannot be provided using what they call seasonal climate forecast. So the indigenous knowledge is not working. The meteorological one is not working. So when I went to do my PhD in 2010, I decided to come up with a solution. We can bridge those two. Not use indigenous to supplement scientific, and not to use scientific to supplement indigenous knowledge. Let's work together. The two of them form a synergy that is so strong. Because we've been accused, we scientists, of going to the village, find about the indigenous medicine, exploit the knowledge, come to our labs, make medicine and forget about them. Our approach is not like that. We build a bridge across each other. For indigenous knowledge, they can predict up to a particular stage. Beyond 8 months, indigenous knowledge is of no use. But on the other hand, scientific one, you can predict using artificial neural networks like we used up to 4 years. So they complement each other. When the indigenous knowledge fails, science works. So, and that's the solution I want to share with you today. But why did I pick on droughts? It's because apart from South Africa, where we have commercial farmers, the rest of Africa, they have a lot of small-scale farmers. Those small-scale farmers do not do irrigation. They depend on the rains. So when the rains fail, they die. There's no food, there's no money to take their kids to school. So there's a very tight link between rains and food insecurity in Africa. And that's why you saw in the beginning I was saying, if we can harvest indigenous knowledge, link it to the science, we can solve Africa's food insecurity. Hence the title I have before. One of the reasons why my research is capturing a number of people is because it solves one of the world economic challenges. Last week I attended a conference in Washington where people were presenting solutions to the grand challenges. The grand challenges are 3. Can people eat? Can we provide them education? And do they have health services? Those are the grand ones. Of course, these others are also important. If you put agriculture and food security together, number 7 is also very important. That's why Prof. Mark is addressing it here on gender equity, and so on. And those of us who are doing research, like the Dean said, if you can relate them to the grand challenges facing the world, then you have it. People will listen to you. Okay. But can we prevent drought? No, we can't. Unless we reach a point where we can make rains, we can't prevent drought. But you can predict them. If we predict them, then we'll know that Cape Town will run short of water in 2017 and conserve the water long in advance. We don't wait until there's no water in Cape Town, then run helter-skelter. We have similar problems in Free State. If I am a farmer of, let's say, sheep, and I know it won't rain next year, and my sheep are looking very nice today, I'll go sell them and make the money, other than wait next year and get them sick, like the cows on my right hand of the screen. So it's very important if you can predict drought, and not just predict them. Predict them and give the information to the farmers or to whoever needs it in the language that they understand. I just decided to put this picture here. Droughts are extremely expensive. They cost too much to a nation, to an economy. And if you can predict them and mitigate them, then you don't have pictures like the ones here. So here's my solution. Okay. So ITIKI has 2 meanings. It's an abbreviation of information technology and indigenous knowledge with intelligence. So I sought opinion of one of my kids who is in grade 10, and she told me, Mom, this is too busy. So I'm still working on my logo, but this is what it means. On one hand, we have the local information, we have the scientific information. On the other hand, we have the farmer with all the flies and all that information. And then we create a bridge between them. But it's not an ordinary bridge. It's intelligent. That's why you see the intelligence of computer science in between. And I use the annotation of bridge because a bridge is not one-way traffic. The indigenous knowledge can come, scientific. So it's equal partnership. And it does have a second meaning. When I grew up in that village I showed you earlier, we used to have an indigenous bridge. It was made up with very simple technology. They would tie sticks together and use wires and anchor them on the strongest trees on the river. And this is not fiction. In 2000, 2004, I think 2000, I actually witnessed a bridge that had been constructed by civil engineers. I'm not rubbishing them. The floods were so strong that the bridge was really swept away. But the indigenous did not go because the local people knew the trees that can never be shaken by the floods. But the civil engineers came from the city, so they didn't know you can't put a bridge there. In fact, the second one, they did not put it there because I think the water used to build a lot of pressure around that point, and the bridge was swept. So I decided to use that analogy because my bridge is based on local knowledge, it's strong, and can't be swept away when the floods come. But I know I'm talking to scientists this morning, so I don't stop there. Really what happens in the background, we have built an early warning system. Early warning system basically have 3 components. You must harvest the knowledge constantly of the whatever warning you want to give. In our case, we get knowledge about the drought. Measure the temperatures using sensors, get the indigenous knowledge using cell phones, and then after that, what do I do with that knowledge? I need to constantly monitor and predict. So this is where most of the computer science comes in. We predict using artificial neural networks. We monitor using, I had to learn a lot from MET. I took about 8 months to read just about droughts. So I do know exactly how they do the prediction. And we use something we call effective drought index. So it's highly scientific. Then after that, we use, because indigenous knowledge, you cannot put it into numerical. You can't put it into numbers. So we're using Vasi logic to ensure that we retain that richness of the indigenous knowledge. So we have predicted and we've been monitoring. Then what next? We disseminate that information. And here we are using a website, we have cell phones, and we are doing a lot of research to ensure that the actual dissemination on the phones suits the farmers using the language translation. We also generate sound files so that those farmers who can't read can actually listen to the sound files. So there's a last component of droughts, of an early warning system we don't do. If you predict that there will be a drought and people will starve, and you have told them they will starve, then you need to react. As a university or as a unit, we can't react because government then needs to move. If it's a flood, you need to move people from the flood areas. So this is really what they're scientifically what ITIKI is all about. And it's actually what I did for my PhD. I just decided after my PhD I will not sit there. So it's actually copyrighted at University of Cape Town when I did my PhD. But then after that, we built upon it and made it a system for people to use. I just put this picture here to show you that the sensors, most of them we use are very small. We don't make them, we import them. But we are hoping through the likes of Dr. Mangara here, we can actually make them cheaper because when we keep importing them, they're expensive. And then we have also realized some of them not field friendly, so we've gone ahead and even bought commercial ones. And the CUT from Provermax unit already has a commercial weather station. We've bought yet another weather station which we installed in our CUT farm. It's also small. It exactly looks like this. And since we want to roll out the solution to many parts of Africa, we're looking for cheaper solution. This one to bring it from the US cost us almost $3,000. That's not sustainable. But we're looking at a solution like this where you can buy them for $120 or so. And how does it work? I've already explained. These are some of the pictures. This is the mobile app that the farmers use. We've called it by our name, ITIKI there. The SMSs people receive, emails that people receive, and other aspects of it include, like I said, it's highly scientific. We test the correctness using mathematical formulas, and we're able to tell that the error rate in the short-term forecast goes up to 98% correct for short-term up to 3 months. The longer the prediction we get error rates that about 88%. And I benchmarked it. Most of the prediction you actually receive from other stations as low as 80% accurate. So with this, we are very happy because with 98%, what can't you do? Okay. And we are expanding. From the funding program Mark mentioned, we're going to Mozambique. We already have a station working in Kenya. Of course, you can guess why it's in Kenya. And in South Africa, we've partnered with South Africa Weather Service. We have an MOU. So we started with the Pietermaritzburg for a specific reason. There are more small-scale farmers there. We didn't try Free State. I know now you want to. Why not here? We realized that most of the farming here is commercial farmers. The commercial farmers are taken care of to some extent. They have insurance, for example. Small-scale farmers don't have insurance. It doesn't rain you on your own. So we wanted to try and solve for those small-scale farmers before we come the commercial ones. We also intend to go to Limpopo because South Africa Weather Service is already working with small-scale farmers there. And what have we done since 2012? For example, we've built one of the PhD students who graduated last year. He built an automation tool. Remember, the farmers have to check the moon, the sky, the trees, and so on. We've implemented an automation tool that we use sky cameras. Take the pictures, pass them through machine vision, and see if you can verify the knowledge. Because sometimes we human beings can make errors. I may have seen the moon facing east, but I said it's facing west. But can we use machine vision to verify that? We were able to do that. A gentleman who is sitting here is building a semantic ontology approach, because what is called drought by Zulu people has a different name if you cross borders to Mozambique. So we'd like to get the meaning using an automated way, and he's doing that. Mr. Kambi is doing that for his PhD. Just yesterday, I discussed with another PhD student. We would like to use deep learning so that the translation that's happening for Zulu people, when we move to Limpopo, the translation is more automated. So that's still far from being built. And we're creating a spin-off company. This ITIKI is becoming a commercial product so that we generate money for CUT. We, as much as we are talking about helping farmers, we would like them to pay, because we realize giving people things for free, they don't appreciate it. So we'd like to charge them like 50 cents to receive an SMS and see how it goes. And of course, we are looking at government also, like government or Limpopo, they will actually pay for their farmers. And then we will come to Free State and ask them, please pay for your farmers as well. So some of the things we are looking at, I know some of us, a number of us are not from CUT, but one of the things we, during my trip in the US, University of Nebraska, they're going to help us set up a drought prediction center in CUT, because Nebraska hosts America's drought mitigation center for the entire country. So they are willing to help us do the same here. Like I just said, we need affordable census, because what we're using is still not business friendly. We're always open to people who want to join our research. And we are looking at telecom infrastructures. You will know that if we send SMS to farmers using Vodacom, I didn't say that. No, it's really, all of them are expensive. So we don't make money. But if we can get a cheaper way of reaching those farmers, if the telecoms can partner with us, then it becomes a viable solution. So some of the ones we've gotten, they've always said that profit is not known at home. That's not the case at CUT. I've gotten 2 awards, one last year and the other one 2015 for this project, different categories. This year in May, we received the $500,000 US. The aim here is to convert this into a commercial product in 3 countries. And hopefully after that, we'll be on our own. We can spread our wings to the rest of Africa. Last year, through this project, I got the DST, Distinguished Young Woman Scientist for Innovation, Research and Innovation. And that's a cap that I still want to wear for some time to come. And before I say the last one of the things young researchers or maturities or whatever level you are, one of the things you need to do to be confident with what you have discovered, because it's yours. Sometimes we tend to think that it's been done, but there's authenticity in the little things you've done. And that's what took me this far. Back in 2011, I knew that this is authentic, even before I got my PhD. And I kept on submitting. So one of the submissions I made was to the International Telecommunication Union. And they actually recognized it and patented that this is potential for standardization. So sooner or later, you'll actually read about a standard for ITIKI, standard of integrating the knowledge. If I shined away and said, this is so simple, it came from a village where people don't wear shoes, I wouldn't be where I am. Whatever little you have, just know that the world needs it. Those of us, we just had a conference 2 weeks ago where someone was saying that we shy away to talk about Free State. People are interested in knowing about that village in Free State where you come from, because they don't know. Don't replicate America thing. Just do the local ones that you have. That's how I got the last thing on our ad. Thank you very much.